Are we ready?
I think we're ready. I'm ready. Are you ready,
Okay.
Katelyn?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Hey everybody, I'm Lauren Stanek.
Hi, and I'm Jody Smits-Anderson, and we are Subject to Change.
So our guest today is Katelyn Kriesel, someone I'm very proud to call a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and also my my socially responsible investor. She advises me on all of my major financial decisions, but she's so much more than that, and that's what makes her so cool. Katelyn finds a way to pack more than 24 hours in a day. I don't know how she does it. I'm still trying to fish her for secrets, and she hasn't told me them yet. So Katelyn, I can't wait to dive in on all of the various things that you're doing, because you're not just SRI. You're really going deeper into some really fantastic local initiatives that are being implemented and should be implemented nationally, if not internationally, right?
I mean, I'd like to think so, yeah.
All right.
I am a financial advisor, and I'm actually sitting here in the backyard of my firm, which is really nice, very socially responsible. And that's what we do at my firm. Hanson's Advisory Services, we're located just outside of Syracuse in Fayetteville, New York, and we do all socially responsible investing. And what that means is we have conversations with each one of our clients, and we create portfolios that reflect the values of the client. And we build those values into an overall strategy that's called ESG. So when we are talking about socially responsible investing, what we're actually talking about is ESG, which stands for environmental social governance. So the notion of ESG and SRI and corporate social governance, it opened up all these different doors for me, and I couldn't help but walk through each one of them, if not simultaneously, then at least one at a time. The Reinvest CNY campaign was helping people to better understand the sustainability impact of their financial choices as it related to investing, banking and lending, and philanthropy. So we partnered with, Hanson's partnered with Cooperative Federal Credit Union in Syracuse and the Central New York Community Foundation. And we did a road show where we went all around the region and we did presentations on what it means to bank with a credit union versus a traditional bank, what it means to do SRI instead of traditional investments, and what it means to be philanthropic, and how setting up a fund with the community foundation allows you to support the issues and causes you care about the most in your community, and how it's actually a much more achievable option than a lot of people realize. An organization is only as sustainable as the employees that are working there. A community is only as sustainable as all of its residents. So the Sustainable Economies Alliance was born. We felt very strongly that all the elements of sustainable finance were already here in Central New York. We just had to start connecting the dots. So that's why it's called the Sustainable Economies Alliance. We have a dozen organizations and companies that are our partners, and one of them is the Financial Empowerment Center, the Syracuse Financial Empowerment Center. They offer one-on-one financial counseling for free to any Syracuse resident. And so we wanted to take the information that they have and the work that they're doing and elevate it and really push it out and bring it to everybody. Because before you can invest sustainably, before you can bank sustainably, and certainly before you can be philanthropic sustainably, you have to save and have good credit, and be paying off student loan debt and not having credit card debt. You need to have access to life insurance, a retirement plan, a will, healthcare proxy, and power of attorney.
So you're starting with building that financial savvy at the individual level so that you truly, everyone understands their power with the money they have, be it big or small amounts of money, and how they can invest that. So that's amazing.
This Thursday at 7 o'clock, we have Financial Empowerment Live, which is an initiative of the Sustainable Economies Alliance, home headquarters, the Syracuse Financial Empowerment Center, and the city of Syracuse and the mayor's office. So we've got two of the financial counselors from the FECs are joining us in a live stream to answer everyone's questions, to really start connecting people with the financial education that's so critical to a sustainable community.
You who are watching from home can check in on that and learn for yourselves what wonderful work Katelyn is doing.
Tune in and say, I have student loan debt and I have absolutely no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
What can you help me? And like, it's really gonna take the expertise that they have and make it available more broadly.
I have a really unhealthy relationship to money. I absolutely hate it. I wish that I could live without it.
The Financial Empowerment Center can help you because it's something that you might think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually undermining what is in your best interest. Like having an open credit card that you pay off every month, or that it's just open and you never use it. Should you close that card because you're not using it, or is it good to have it open? These are the types of questions that people have all the time, and that they just don't have access to that information other than Googling. But that's not always the best way to get information. You need it from an expert, and the Financial Empowerment Center can offer that.
Yeah.
So are these financial centers like everywhere across America, or is this just something that's happening in central New York? Like if I were in, I don't know, some town in Pennsylvania, do I have access to this too?
No, that is a great question. Syracuse, I believe, was the second city funded by Bloomberg to do this outside of New York. And it's something that not a lot of people even realize that we have. It just launched within the last year, I think. So it's still pretty new.
I didn't even know. I live here. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You're working with a whole bunch of different businesses, and I'm wondering, are you using an outside metric to determine if those businesses are sustainable?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Most of the organizations that we've partnered with are nonprofits. What does it mean to vet an organization or a company for how sustainable it is? Because that's what we do. And that's the core of the not-for-profit is the same principles that we follow for ESG. The way that we vet a publicly traded company for their ESG is the same way that you should vet your own personal financial choices, that of your company or organization, and your community. If you look at a big publicly traded company, think of like Apple. What are they doing to help the environment? Are they undermining the environment with the choices that they're making? How are they treating their employees? What are the types of things that they're offering in terms of employee benefits? And then for governance, that's the rules and regulations, the policies and procedures that you have to support all the things that you say you're going to do. So if you think about that for a person, my environmental impact, my personal sustainable finance, am I buying my groceries locally? Am I banking with a local credit union? Do I have my estate planning done? And am I saving money into a retirement account and into the bank every single month? What are the policies and procedures that I have set up to actually do these things, to actually stick with it? For a lot of people, they kind of think about those things, but they don't necessarily think about them categorized in such a organized way with such a clear outcome for what it would mean to actually do those things.
Have you ever heard of the JUST rating system?
Yes.
Oh, good. I like making connections, and it seems like a really good one as far as understanding corporate responsibility to the employees and to being equitable and into having that long-term plan and the transparency so that they can be judged on that factor.
Sue Hansen, Gail Olivet, and myself here at the firm. Sue does a lot of our money management. Gail does a ton of it too, but I tend to work more closely with Sue with my clients. And she uses that system as well as fossil fuel free website. And then there's one for sustainable tree management and for farming. And so there's all these different just available on the internet for anyone
this is a realm of sustainability, and we've always intended to not just look at the green building industry, but to look beyond it. And I'm glad to have met you.
We're an all-female firm, which is unheard of in the financial services industry. We have focused on socially responsible investing for decades, which is
Awesome.
probably pretty rare around the country. There's not that many firms that have even done that. So when you kind of put us all together, we are one of a kind. When I first discovered socially responsible investing, I was working at Morgan Stanley. I was doing financial planning for existing clients of the firm, an experience I am very grateful for because I really learned that being an independent agent, an independent financial advisor was where I belonged. I met with a colleague of mine. I'll even name him Lauren because he's a friend of ours, Brian Pincelli,
Brian.
who will love that I'm applauding him in public for this. But I have him single-handedly to thank for my career because I told him, if this is what being a financial advisor is, I think I'm in the wrong industry. And he said, have you heard of this lady in Fayetteville? Her name is Sue Hansen, and she does all socially responsible investing. Awesome. And I went back to my office and I searched it up, and every light bulb I've ever had go off went off at that exact moment, because I thought if it's really expensive and the returns are bad, no one's ever going to want to do this. And it would be irresponsible as a financial advisor to try to get them to. No, the returns were superior, and that's only become more true over time. And socially responsible investments, ESG funds, have outperformed their traditional counterparts during the advent of the coronavirus pandemic, when there were, nothing was sure and everyone was reacting so quickly. The stock market did respond, and we saw a little bit of a downturn. So Morningstar, which is one of the most notable names in the industry in terms of analyses in financial services, they did an analysis, and they said, let's compare ESG funds to traditional funds during the pandemic. Who here on this podcast thinks that SRI did better than their traditional counterparts? I'll get 2 hands up. Yes, it did. ESG is not crunchy. I mean, it's crunchy, but it wasn't born to be crunchy. It was born to be a risk mitigation strategy.
Absolutely.
Yes. Investing sustainably in companies that care about the world around them. It turns out that those companies are inherently more resilient and outperform during both downturns and bull markets.
Well, because they're looking at long-term strategies, they're looking at building their base, they're looking at all of the repercussions, all of the constraints around them, and devising intelligent ways to manage those constraints, as opposed to the normal stock market, which is put your head in the sand and just hope that you make money. It's true that the companies that are scoring highly on ESG, they're treating their employees well. They're paying them a living wage and providing them with health insurance. They're training them to rise up within the company. They're manufacturing sustainable products, and they're aware of their supply chain. They know along the value chain where their risks are and where they are not, where are they strong. They have women and people of color and minorities represented, not only throughout the company, but also within the executive structure of the company. So the board and the executive team are of a diverse background. They're sourcing their electricity from renewables, treating their immediate environment well, treating the water sources sustainably and well. And we double, triple, quadruple check all those things. And it turns out that when you do all that stuff as a company, you are more resilient in the face of a challenge like the pandemic, in addition to outperforming over the long term, over the 10-year in a bull market.
Interested to hear your thoughts on, how does this start to play into local government politics?
It is the fact that I did run for election last year in the town of Manlius. And then I did also happen to win the election. So I, along with three of my colleagues, we ran for 2 empty seats and against 2 incumbents, and we won all 4 seats last November on what will probably be one of the happiest days of my life. It was just such a tremendous success for the whole team, and to have all of us cross that finish line together was amazing. We've had the opportunity to start to integrate the ESG into municipal sustainable finance. So one of the first things that we did was we opted back into the property tax exemption for solar.
Yeah.
They had opted out of the property tax exemption, which disincentivizes people that want to go solar from putting solar on their house, because now they've got to pay the appreciated value of the panel, which doesn't make any sense. So we opted back in. Tomorrow night we have town board, and on the agenda we have a lease that we're going to be entering into with the CNYR PDB and Abundant Solar to put community solar on the landfill. Yeah,
That's fantastic. And you know what? The point of, I think the point of our video blog is that things happen and we want to build on them, and that vote is happening tomorrow, or that work is happening tomorrow, but other communities can learn from that. So let's keep it in.
Yeah, we're very, very excited.
I think that sustainability as a whole is an answer that solves many problems at the same time, if you are strategic about understanding how that answer applies. And that's a fantastic example of just that thing. You're dealing with financial repercussions, you're dealing with a need to reduce carbon, you're dealing with using land that can't otherwise be used. 3 problems solved with 1 solution that's just a little smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, it's really I just feel so blessed and honored to even have the opportunity to do this stuff at all, because what's so obvious to some of us isn't as obvious to others. So I think it's a testament to encouraging people to run for office and running for office ourselves, to make sure that we have the people in these roles that will actually get this work done.
I know that there have been a lot of downers in the last few years, COVID being one of them, politics being another one of them, but people are starting to recognize the opportunity in a way that hasn't happened until this year. And I'm excited by it, and it sounds like you're incredibly joyous and excited.
It's like I said, it's something I feel really lucky to be able to do this work at all, and it's something it's work I really, really enjoy. It's the first time I really used my political science degree since I graduated. I never thought that I would. I believe that this is work that needs to be done, and I believe that the positive impact for generations will be there, and that it's when you run for office, you are in service to your community. It's way more than a volunteer role. You are serving, and so you have to take it with that mentality that this isn't for you. You are the voice of the people. You need to hear from them. You represent them. You should educate them and work with them and try to do good work for them. But you are serving, and so I don't think that anyone should do this for 10, 20 years. I think that you should have 2 4-year terms and then pass that baton on to someone else. You serve your community and then you move on and allow someone else to do the same thing. But that's what I try to take seriously. Yes. Share the wealth with others. Let the other voices come through. I think that that's really important.
So, Katelyn, who's your hero right now? Who is it that we should all be following? Who should we have on our radar?
So my hero is Megan Weatherby of Cooperative Federal Credit Union. She is a champion in this community, and she often goes without all the recognition in the world that she deserves. She picked the name Sustainable Economies Alliance. For that alone, she should be honored. But she, in her role at Cooperative Federal, she brings so much expertise and knowledge to her job there, and that is helping to lift people out of poverty. the credit union, and everyone should bank with their local credit union no matter where you are. The more that we support credit unions, the more that we will actually be supporting our own local communities. They take all the dollars that we put into their institution and they're able to leverage that money and lend it out. And Megan has been behind the scenes at Cooperative Federal doing incredible things for, I'm pretty sure, more than 10 years. Cooperative Federal tweets, so follow Cooperative Federal.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what's up next for Katelyn? Like, what are you trying to do next?
So actually, that's a really good segue. With the pandemic and everything and having to go remote, we came up with this idea of the Financial Empowerment Live. But we also knew we had so much more we wanted to talk about. I'm starting a podcast. So, yes. So the podcast is called Sustainify, the Sustainable Finance Podcast. Yes, we have a Twitter. It's literally at Sustainify, which is amazing. I could not believe that was available. We have a YouTube channel and an Instagram. So follow us. That will launch September 16th. And Megan Weatherby and her husband, Tom Delwo, are my alternating co-hosts. All the things we touched on today, we're going to really dive into that. And it's going to be just a really, really great initiative that's going to bring this information. It's just going to blow it out of the water. We're so excited.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to learn more. I think Jody seems really interested to learn more too. Yeah.
Who knew that I should pay attention to money and not be afraid of it?
It's so fun. It's so interesting. Like we thought about naming the podcast Megan, Tom, and Katelyn Save the World, but we were talked out of it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that Lauren introduced this connection to Subject2Change, because we really do want to start to break down some of the silos that have been created. As a green builder, as an architect, I know a lot about green building, but what do I know about finance? Not very much. What do I know about local food production? Not much. What do I know about education and sustainability and the topics there? So we're hoping to spread our wings and find other neighborhoods to land in on occasion.
What's the one thing we should all be paying attention to right now as it relates to sustainability? What's like the number one initiative in your world?
What do you think my answer is?
I think I know. I think we've been talking about it.
Is it socially responsible investing? Or Sustainify?
I think it's all of the above, and keeping everything as local as possible, right?
Don't think about the whole picture because you'll get so overwhelmed so quickly. So there are initiatives to buy your food locally, to bank locally, to get solar energy, to a great organization is On Point for College, and to start getting they have awesome programs to help city residents and people of color, students of color that have graduated from high school and college, to get internships. Most of the businesses in Central New York are inherently unsustainable because they are not diverse. My daughters are Black, and I walk into a lot of rooms in my corporate life that are all white faces, and that's unacceptable. And we are doing ourselves, our businesses, and our community a disservice by continuing to function in this way. Don't buy a traditional mutual fund. It would make you cry to see what's in there.
Knowing that your dollars have a greater impact than the moment that you spend them. I think that's huge.
Yes.
That recognition, and wow, some incredible work that you're doing, and just the education components. Kudos. And
Jody, don't sell yourself short. You're the one that told me about Naked Wines, and I think that you can attest to the fact that there's what you just said. Your dollars can have a longer impact. It's the same thing there.
Yeah,
really.
Maybe it's not super local, but it still goes to business startup, and I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I think where you can find, I had a conversation with a friend of mine about Bombas socks.
Yeah.
And they were like, they're so expensive. I'm like, well, they're expensive, but they're high quality. They every pair you buy, you donate a pair. Those kind of things. If you can even make discrete choices of purchases, that help, that moves the needle. But But when you get into understanding the impacts of investing and the choices there, I think that's the next level. And that's more impactful in a slightly broader way.
When we vote with our dollars, like there's something really to that. Companies listen to the public and they listen to their shareholders. If you own stock in a company, you're a shareholder and you can vote to require them to source more energy from renewable sources. You can require them to add more women and people of color to the board. You can set those requirements as a shareholder. And socially responsible investing is doing that every day. So when you do SRI, you're not only investing in companies that meet your values, you're also then helping all those companies to become more sustainable, because the more money is in SRI, the stronger the vote, the bigger the change. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Subject to Change.
Yay. Not a local wine, but a naked wine.
Yeah, I mean, sustainability exists on a spectrum. You can't always check every box. Right. It's just a matter of like making sure you're checking at least some of them.
You need to know, was that a local beer?
It's a New York beer.
Okay.
It's called Other Half Green City. It's a double dry hopped IPA.